Welcome to today's Brand Origin Deep Dive, where we unpack the pivotal moments that shape technological giants. You might carry their software in your pocket today, but do you know the full story of Microsoft's ambitious and sometimes painful journey into the mobile frontier? From grand visions to overlooked warnings, this narrative explores the unexpected twists and turns that define their mobile destiny. If you find value in this kind of storytelling, consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps more than you know. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from and what your first experience with a Pocket PC was. Let's dive in and discover how it all began. You enter a space humming with a quiet, almost hopeful ambition. This is where Microsoft first seriously envisioned a world where its software wasn't just on your desktop, but perpetually in your palm. You see early Pocket PC prototypes, some gathering dust on forgotten shelves, their outdated plastic bodies, a tactile reminder of a different era. Power one on, and you hear the distinct, slightly sterile startup sound, a recurring motif that back then truly signaled progress and potential. This was the Windows Mobile era taking shape, born from the complex genealogy of Windows CE, a core brand element with branches leading to everything from industrial controllers to set-top boxes. Microsoft felt a palpable sense of perceived dominance, a quiet confidence that extending their desktop success to mobile would be inevitable. The launch of devices like the HP iPad HX 4700, featuring impressive for-the-time screens and processing power, marked a major historical milestone, signaling their serious intent. Yet, subtle vulnerabilities were already present, whispers of a market shift starting to be ignored. Analysts continue to question the reasoning behind dismissing early signs that consumer desires weren't simply miniaturized PC tasks. There's a quirky, lesser-known detail about an internal concept device, codenamed Origami, that hinted at a more tablet-like future years before its time. But it never fully materialized in this era. The initial confidence in their established ecosystem slowly gives way to a growing, almost imperceptible unease, foreshadowing a disruption coming from directions they weren't watching. But the comfort of the familiar soon shattered. Moving from that earlier landscape, you now navigate the sterile silence of corporate memory, specifically within the sprawling campus of Microsoft. Here, the narrative confronts the shockwaves sent through the company by the sudden arrival of the iPhone and Android. You witness the initial disbelief rippling through hushed boardroom meetings, a palpable tension filling the air as executives grapple with the magnitude of this new threat. The stark contrast between old and new device philosophies is glaringly obvious. Your Windows mobile devices, once symbols of corporate connectivity, now feel clunky and dated compared to these slick, touch-centric newcomers. Their physical visibility in the market begins a rapid decline, almost like a fading photograph. The once familiar startup sound of Windows mobile devices, a chime of productivity, starts to feel like an echo from a receding past, an analog signal in a digital world. Emotionally, the mood within the company shifts dramatically from initial denial into a dawning, unsettling panic. This era becomes a major historical turning point for the brand, forcing an existential question. A key brand core element is exposed in the internal debate. Do you desperately try to evolve the existing platform, or do you embark on the painful, costly process of rebuilding from scratch? Analysts continue to question the reasoning behind some of the immediate decisions made during this period. One quirky detail from this time is how long some internal teams clung to the idea that stylus-based interaction on small screens was still the future. completely underestimating the power of fluid touch gestures on a capacitive screen. This frantic energy and the pressure to respond rapidly foreshadows a series of rushed, reactive projects. As the digital age matured and the internet became a constant companion, a new storm was brewing on the horizon: the mobile revolution. But for the brand, this era didn't arrive with a clear signal. Instead, it felt like a glitch in the system. You witness Microsoft's first, disjointed attempts to capture this market, a period marked by frantic energy in design labs clashing hard against ingrained corporate inertia. Prototypes piled up, brilliant ideas, sometimes shelved for inscrutable reasons, leaving behind the ghosts of what could have been. The startup sound of this era feels distorted, fragmented, reflecting the lack of a unified vision. A major historical milestone in this awkward phase was the launch and rapid demise of the enigmatic Kin phones in 2010. Designed for a socially connected generation, these devices had some quirky, lesser-known features, like the Spot, a drag-and-drop target for sharing content, and the Loop, a constantly updating social feed home screen. Despite some innovative ideas, they felt crippled by limited functionality compared to burgeoning smartphones, and were ultimately canceled after just 48 days on the market, a truly astounding misfire. Brand historians still debate whether the Kin's failure was purely a product issue, a marketing disaster, or a symptom of deeper internal division. This era represented a descent into confusion and internal blame, laying the groundwork for the internal conflicts that would plague the brand's later, more significant mobile efforts. Building on the need for a fresh identity, the brand takes its most ambitious step yet, attempting to rewrite the rulebook. The narrative moves beneath the surface of the traditional desktop into the vibrant, tile-based world of Metro. You walk through brightly colored, empty simulated interfaces on storefront displays. Feel the smooth, cold glass of devices held in hopeful hands, devices that promised something truly different. You hear the startup sound attempt to reinvent itself. Less mechanical whir, more elegant chime, yet still somehow carry a ghost of the past, a subtle reminder of the legacy it couldn't fully shake. This was the Metro UI philosophy, a focus on typography, clean lines, and digital content taking center stage, stripping away skeuomorphism like peeling off old wallpaper. But beneath the aesthetic lay a monumental struggle: building a viable ecosystem. The hope quickly gives way to a quiet desperation as the app gap widens. Beautiful design and smooth performance meant little if your favorite services weren't available. This isn't just about missing games. It's the core utility of a modern device. Analysts continue to question the reasoning behind launching with such a significant deficit, a challenge exacerbated by reports from internal memos detailing the uphill battle to court developers, often summarized as a frustrating cycle of pitching promise without proven market share. It was a classic chicken and egg problem, but the eggs weren't hatching fast enough. The sleek, empty spaces of Metro began to feel less like intentional design and more like a vacant lot waiting for tenants that never arrived. The lack of critical mass was becoming an undeniable liability, setting the stage for consequences that were increasingly difficult to ignore. Building on what came before, the brand faces perhaps its biggest gamble: the acquisition of Nokia's phone division. You feel the immense pressure mounting, a high-stakes play that risks everything. This isn't just a corporate merger. It's a collision of titans, a stark cultural clash between two very different worlds. Integration proves difficult, perhaps impossible in many ways. You see the tangible signs of this failure. Shuttered offices stand like mausoleums. The last batches of once iconic devices roll silently off assembly lines, and the sound of marketing efforts becomes increasingly desperate, a forced cheeriness echoing in empty halls. The vibrant startup sound, once a symbol of possibility, is barely a whisper now, drowned out by the grinding gears of corporate machinery. The emotional shift across the company is palpable. Exhaustion sets in, followed by the creeping dread of impending defeat. This strategic rationale behind the Nokia acquisition and its devastating fallout becomes a core element defining the brand's later years. It's a moment where ambition meets harsh reality, revealing the human cost of such massive corporate decisions. Analysts continue to question the reasoning behind sinking billions into a declining market player. It's said that even the final farewell email to former Nokia employees was painstakingly drafted and redrafted, an impossible task capturing the sorrow and finality of the moment. This chapter clearly foreshadows the brand's final retreat from the consumer hardware battleground.